the last limitation in terms of scope, concentrating on manufacturing sector. Okay, so then I will choose another sector, which is service sector. Okay, the last one is significance of this study in terms of theoretical and practical implication. Okay, the first significance is this study can contribute to the effort to reconceptualize the role theory, because the limitation of using role theory is that role theory fails to take into account the dynamic nature of the organization, such as the diversity of the workforce in the organization and increased level of age and cultural differences among employees in the organization. The second one, theoretical significance, is to identify the process which define and reproduce the line manager's HRM role. Okay?
One organisation is a good thinking behind it, in the sense that you're holding the organisation constant, and so therefore you can focus on the role of these line managers. I think you, like most PhD students, are trying to do too much, and in terms of your research questions, I think you probably need to focus on changing it from the 4 to perhaps 2. In the sense that, I mean, the first one, what are the HRM roles of line managers? That, to me, is background sort of information, rather than something specifically that you're trying to discover. I think the intent of your study is really to look at how well they are performing their HRM roles as a line manager. Is that a fair assumption? That's really at the heart of what you're looking at, how the line managers perform their HRM role. Is that a fair assumption?
Not really, because actually I want to explore how actually members in the organization define the line managers HRM roles. So that you know that other members in the organization maybe hold different or similar expectation with the role of the line managers.
So that's one aspect. So the expectation of other people in the organisation of the line manager's HRM role. Then you've got the effectiveness, or the perceived effectiveness, by the line managers, and then perhaps the effectiveness of the line managers as measured by factors such as commitment to work and intention to lead. So I think you've got sort of 3 things here. Maybe it needs to be refined a little bit, and not try and do all of those, because I think you can possibly end up with too much, and so your methodology will be getting too much information, and you'll find trouble putting it all together into some focused study. So that would be a suggestion, to review the focus of the questions. Now, for example, your research question for what's the impact of line managers' role performance on unit level performance. It's not unit level performance in a generic sense, it's unit level HR performance that you're looking at. So HR needs to come in there. You're only looking at a measure of turnover, intent and commitment, for example. Not looking at financial performance or productivity performance, any of those variables. So it's sort of focusing it a little more. So, I mean, any study really is shaped largely by your questions. And if you've got too many questions, then it's going to be too big, become unmanageable, and you'll get so frustrated, it won't work out well. So, revisit the questions. I would suggest no more than 2.
No more than
2. I mean, you can have sub-questions, but don't just sort of rearrange the deck chairs, as it were, but refine it down. Because if you get access to these organisations, I assume you have no problem getting access to the hotel?
Not yet get the permission.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't see any problem? Because, I I mean, it's very important in that you've got this large qualitative component. So hopefully you can sell it to this organisation that you give them some useful feedback. But, you know, if you're trying to get all this information, it may actually be too demanding on those people as well, in terms of getting. So I think once you've sort of reviewed your focus, then of course your methodology is shaped by that, and you can review that. But, I mean, I'm happy to hear other comments on what I've said, but what I'm saying to you is no different to what we normally say to most PhD students. You know, it's sharpen the focus.
Comments. I think that who are the people who are going to answer each of these research questions? For example, the first one, what are the HR roles of line managers? What are you asking? Are you asking the subordinates of the line managers? Are you asking the line managers themselves? Are you asking the HR people, the specialist HR people on these roles? So it's not very specific on the respondents who can answer these questions. So maybe that's something you can consider for both. Oh, you have considered?
Yeah, I have already considered.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Another comment that I have is there have been a couple of work on line managers' roles in undertaking HR activities. I think you have some of them in your slide. Whitaker and Washington, I think they're talking about inhibitors or barriers of line managers, the effectiveness of line managers in terms of their roles in undertaking HR activities. And they talked about work overload. They talk about the lack of specialist expertise. They talk about the lack of training and education on the part of the line managers. Have you looked at those things? Because I think that was interesting in terms of those barriers and linking those things with your role conflict. I don't know how you measure role conflict in the first instance. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay. Actually, that is the challenges for line managers in undertaking their HRM role. But my focus is now to actually define the role first before we get to know what is the challenges that they face. So that if they have clear understanding of what actually their HRM role, so that they can perform better. So that the challenges, I think, after we define the line manager's HRM role.
Okay. Because that is specific to what your the third research question is about. How well do line managers perform their roles from different perspectives? How well, how effective they are. So you need to really think about the barriers. Another study, I think it was done by Tom Ratnan. He talked about there are certain tasks that line managers dislike in doing. One of them is performance appraisal. They really dislike that. I thought that would be interesting in understanding, looking at the relevance of certain HR activity and their commitment to it, I guess.
Skills required for those roles and some of the frustrations that line managers have in dealing with that. So I think, you could perhaps pick 2 or 3 papers out of the reference list, and that could be the core of what you try to focus on. Employees, superiors, subordinates, line managers themselves, and you need to be careful about what the questions you're asking them, because sometimes if you ask an employee about their perception of their line manager's HRM effectiveness, what do you mean by that? And it's the understanding of the interviewee of what you know what you're doing, and there's a very sensible research reason for you doing it, but you've got to remember those people now. If you start talking academic mumbo jumbo, you know, you have to de-jargonise it. You can do it, but some of the terms will need to be sort of altered so that they understand really what you're doing.
Can I add to that from a practical point of view, not an academic view at all, but from being in the workplace? I actually even have trouble just putting all my academic stuff aside and actually understanding why we talk about some of those roles as HRM roles when I actually think they're management roles. So I think they will have a difficulty with that as well. Because to me, performance appraisal is absolutely a management role, but you're talking about it as an HRM role. So I think when you go into the workplace, they may not see the distinction in the way that you see it. Because they'll go, well, we've always done that. It's our job to make people perform. I had the same kind of shiver about the commitment and intention to stay as a measure as well, for the same reasons. From an organisational perspective, you can have people who are absolutely committed and want to stay in an organisation for one purpose. You can, lots of them, because it must be really nice to them, they don't have to do much. So I just worry about it as a measure of performance of a sort. I mean, nobody wanted you good people to stay.
Look, to continue the brainstorming, we're reshaping a PhD but, you know, you might be better off not asking employees. Asking just the line managers, just focusing on the line managers' self-perception of their role and their own effectiveness. You know, I know why you're asking employees, but it might actually be too difficult and complicated too much. You know, and I know you think, well, would it still be a PhD if you don't ask them? Of course it will be, but it is more manageable. So again, something to think about. I'm not saying do it, but you've got to balance up the reality of what information you can get and how useful it will be against, you know, something that's manageable. And that would be more along the lines of the nail study, for example. You know, the self-perception thing rather than. I know it's nice to do what you